Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Parker's council meeting. We've got 5 or 6 items on the agenda tonight. Before we get started, Reverend Barker, will you please deliver the invocation? Everybody please stand.
Let's bow, please. Heavenly Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we do give you praise, glory, and honor. For you are worthy of all the praise in every situation, every circumstances that we face, oh God. And we ask you to bless this meeting, oh God. Let your anointed power, oh God, rule and direct. Give wisdom, give knowledge, give understanding, God. Give peace that surpasses all understanding. We ask, Heavenly Father, for your divine intervention in any situation, circumstances, and let it all be of you, God, that we can give you the glory, that this city, oh Heavenly Father, could be a city on a hill set up that they can recognize that it's only through you that this city is surviving. And we give you the praise and the glory for it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Miss Barrow.
Here.
Mr. Chappell. Miss Galbraith.
Here.
Miss Gibson.
Here.
Mayor Kelly.
Here. Before we get started with the 6 items on our agenda, if there's anybody in the audience that wants to talk about anything, you feel free to come to the podium, tell us your name and your address, and I'll be happy to, and we'd be happy to hear what you got to say. Anybody? Okay.
Oh, well.
Pat Bosick, 1344 Stratford. I had a couple things I wanted to bring to the council's attention as well as to the residents here. Many of you know that a group of residents put out flags for Memorial Day both along Tyndall Parkway as well as at the cemetery. I wanted to give a special thanks to Diane Coates. She was the one, from my perspective, that kept hounding, politely but in a good way, to hounding several of us to get involved. I believe she got in touch with Councilwoman Gibson to say, hey, can you post something on Nextdoor and on Facebook, which Ms. Gibson did. That was very helpful. But thanks to the people that got involved and went out and put the flags up. I think that was great for us to acknowledge our veterans that served this country well. Also, I have a request for the city council. I don't know what the protocol is with regard to getting updates on some of the civil litigation that is pending against the city. Haven't heard or seen much recently about the lawsuit with regard to the boat ramp, obviously not getting into the details, discovery, strategy, that kind of thing, but just curious as to the status, the costs associated with that, what has been accrued so far, whether or not the city has insurance to pay those legal fees or if they're paid out of the city coffers, and also if we have an expected resolution and date of that claim. So that's all I have.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Item 1 is on the regular agenda, the East Bay Flats, the sign, when you come into Parker, it says welcome to Parker. It's right there on the right-hand side. I went and looked at it this morning.
Minutes.
Oh, wrong page. You put me off, Ms. Prosek.
Oh, it's at the very top of it.
Yeah, the approval of the minutes from the 16th of May.
I think there's a correction on number 2, approval of minutes from April 25th. It says I said no. I'm pretty sure I said yes.
Where were you? Okay.
Number 2. Yeah. Item 2.
That's it?
That's all I had.
Okay. So again, the approval of the minutes from the 16th of May.
I make a motion we approve them as amended.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a second and a second. You want to call the roll for me, please?
Miss Barrow.
Yes.
Mr. Chappell.
Yes.
Miss Galbraith.
Yes.
Miss Gibson.
Yes.
And Mayor Kelly.
Yes,
Who seconded?
Stacy was quicker.
Or maybe just louder.
5 o'clock.
Closer.
So back to Mr. Norris. He's here to talk about the East Bay Sign Flats easement request. So you're up, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. My name is Tim Norris with East Bay Flats. I'm here today to ask for an easement where we have, I guess, been approved for our parking area, and part of the sign easement is in our parking area. So we're trying to get that abandoned so we can have it unencumbered at this point. So, are there any questions?
I do, because I'm a little bit confused. So we're trying to abandon where our sign is?
Well, part of it, up to where the fence is in the parking area, and then on the other side of the fence, on the right of way, that's where the sign is today.
Okay.
And that would be part of the encumbrance.
Okay. Ms. Galbraith, back in 1997, the city received an easement from the Hess Corporation, Hess Oil down that owned it at the time. And that easement was roughly square in its configuration. And it was recorded back in 1997. Apparently, at some point in time, the East Bay Flats folks came in and submitted a request to put the sign in the parking area that diminished the easement that we had. Basically, it almost cut it in half, looking at the survey that they provided. So, one thing you need to know is that a private individual cannot acquire land from the city by adverse possession. So it's not an adverse possession issue. The city currently has an easement there. What Mr. Norris is requesting is for you to abandon the part of the easement that apparently is now within their fence and abandon that part only, preserving the remainder of the easement that is outside the fence, as I understand it. And so, there's no legal obligation for you to do that. He's just making that request.
So, April, you may be able to answer this, based on the drawings for the bridge. When that bridge comes in, is the location where we currently have the sign, will it be able to remain there?
Yeah, because.
Absolutely.
Because the current road, current Tyndall Parkway, is getting shifted.
Okay.
So I think you're
Yeah,
perfectly fine. Yeah,
It can remain there, but will you be able to see the sign from the new roadway, from the new bridge?
probably not. I think it's gonna be dicey. Let me go into the,
I only ask that because maybe if we abandon part of our easement, would it be prudent to discuss getting part of your property for an easement for our sign if we need it?
So my understanding is 5 years ago that was the plan, that they were gonna move, that your company had planned to move the sign into Parker onto the vacant land now that's in front of the Blue Star Memorial. And that would have made your fence run straight and true and not have to have a diversion around that blue sign. Is that your understanding?
As far as I know.
Okay, that's what I've been able to determine the last week from checking on it. I met with FDOT last week and I see the plans for the bridge.
Right.
And that center median piece there, at this time, they're asking for 33 feet of that piece of land in the middle. To answer your question, I don't know at this time if that sign will be viewed or not viewed in a bad location or not in a bad location, because I think once the construction starts, they're gonna be all over there with equipment on that middle piece of the road to get the ramp started on that side. So I'm not sure. I think it would have been probably better 5 years ago when the decision was made to move the sign, or was recommended that the sign be moved, that we had done that. But we never did. It never got done. So I don't really know.
Well, my understanding was that the prior council and mayor had contemplated that, and that they were waiting on East Bay Flats to come in with some drawings to show
Right,
where that move would occur.
correct.
And that never happened. The next thing that I saw was the
Fence
fact
is
that the sign is still in the same location, but
Yeah.
that the request was to reduce the easement size.
Right. So to answer your question, I'm not exactly sure positively what they're gonna expect when they start the project a year from last week. Where they're gonna ask us to move or not
So-
move. But as of last week, they did not request that sign to be moved.
if you look at the current bridge, this is the FDOT's web, oh dear. really glitchy right now. It does not like the internet connection. It looks like if East Bay Flats is here, the sign is here. The main road right now is here,
Correct.
and the new road is gonna be over here.
A little farther over.
So I don't think it's going to be a good spot for us to have the Parker side. I think we're gonna eventually have to move it. If I can get this to,
What do they list as they're gonna do with the remaining road once the new bridge is built?
so
That'll be Parker, but what will we do with it?
with the extra road that's right here, I ask that we take that because it's going all the way to the water
Mm-hmm.
and see if we can't use it as a picnic area
Yeah.
or a rec
Boat
area.
ramps, more ramps?
So I've asked if we could have that in any extra land on the water side of what they're gonna take for the
Right, right.
retention pond.
Yep.
If there was any extra, if we could use that as some sort of recreational area, and they were amendable to it, that they were good with it. I can't get this, I have no internet right now, it's not,
Given the uncertainty, Mayor,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Leave it where it's at till we know.
I'm certainly not opposed to doing that. I just think that maybe if the council would agree, maybe we just table it for just a little while and let's see where we might need to move our sign to, in case we need to do some swapping.
Okay, well, we don't have the ownership of that strip right there. That's the right of way, that's DOT. And then if the road's going more west, then you're gonna need to move your sign more west, so we really won't be involved. Does that make sense? So we're really out of it, cause you won't be moving it to the east into our parking lot, you'll be moving it more west instead of,
Or further down.
Oh, for, and
Well, it could go north,
Right,
perhaps.
it would definitely go north. Yep. But it's not on the plan, Mr. Galbraith, it's not on the diagram he brought to me. Any of those signages were not interfered or they did not impact anything. We're so far away from that conversation.
so here's the current,
So do you guys not see a concern with,
Leave it where it's at for now.
so the
Till we
sign
have a
is right
solution.
here. So it's nowhere close to.
no,
the
I'm saying,
road.
do we not have a
So we're
concern with
gonna
giving
have
up an
to-
easement right now?
Well, you're under no legal
With no legal
obligation to do
obli-
it. He may have a fence and he may have a parking lot on top of your
This
easement
is East
right
Bay
now.
Yeah.
Flats, and then
But if
where they're
the
at,
city
the road
chose
is
to
going
exercise its rights
east
under
side.
the
Well,
current
that's the bit.
easement,
So
then you
it's
could
not
go
gonna be
in
anywhere
to that
close.
area that is
So
currently
where would
under
you say
his
put the
parking lot.
sign here?
I would say
In
follow
behind
that.
his fence.
road
Which we would not
between the
do,
two.
but-
We could,
That would look a lot better,
I
wouldn't it?
think so too, let me show.
But I don't think we should move or do anything until we get some better drawings from the state, from the feds.
But you're not asking us to move the sign anyway. You
no,
just
no,
want
no,
to-
I'm
You
just,
want
we're
the
just,
easement on your side of the fence.
on the other side of the fence, yeah, we just want that,
Where does his
that
property
easement.
line go?
So this is right, he's right butting up against the road. He's right up against,
But it
So
may
the
be,
road is
Mayor, that
coming.
it may be appropriate to move it
it's coming
and
out.
perhaps on some of their property might be
Better,
better.
yeah.
So East Bay Flats.
Yeah, it could, like he says, it could be easier, better to move it onto some of their property rather than when we give up our property.
When you say there, who you're referring to?
East Bay Flats.
On the northern, move it
On
north.
the, yeah, because the center of the road is gonna be consumed with bridge.
You mean up near the
Where
point?
your triangle place is there.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm not saying for sure.
I mean, we'll
Cause it
work-
might look good between the two highways,
Yeah,
you know? It
That's-
might look nice as you go over the bridge, you see a big sign that says, welcome to City of Parker. you know?
right.
I
Probably
mean,
better.
so you're just asking for your side of the fence,
Just that side of the fence, that little 8 by 8
and
section
you don't
right
wanna
there.
touch our sign or do
No,
anything else?
don't wanna do anything with sign.
But from the city's perspective, you need to
There's no
know
legal
that
obligation.
you're under no legal obligation to do that. I think he's just trying to get an exception off his title policy
Right, we
that he currently has. And if the city is contemplating moving the sign potentially, then you may want to do it all in one shot. If you're gonna abandon the entire area when you move the sign, and then he would be amenable, hopefully, to giving you a little piece up in the triangular part.
That's what I would like to propose, if you guys are okay with it, that we table it until we can make that decision on that sign.
Yep.
And is there a reason that you need to do it right now? Do you need?
Well, we're just trying to make sure we get the title clear, you know, we got that encumbrance on the property, so it's just, you just try to keep it all clean and clear.
Yep. All right, well,
But you were aware of the encumbrance when you bought it.
yeah.
It was on your title work then, right?
I guess.
And I'm,
Yeah.
I'm certainly not implying that we wait until the bridge is done, but maybe we could do a little bit of research and kind of figure it out before.
Yeah.
I mean, if we need to work with you later on another piece of part of the property, then we can do that. We're just trying to clear this part out.
Okay, we
I
got a motion.
believe July, they are gonna be putting or be getting the bid for designing the engineering part of the bridge.
That's correct.
So I figure another couple months, and once I think that's gonna go really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So if I make a motion that we table
Well,
this.
we already got a motion.
Oh.
What-
No, I
do
did
you-
not make a motion.
okay.
I just asked if you guys.
A
would do it.
suggestion.
It was a suggestion, yes, sir.
So April made a motion to table.
April, May, yeah.
Make a motion to table until we get, more plans from the FDOT.
I'll second
Need
the
a
motion.
got a first and a second. When you call a roll, please?
Ms. Barrow? Mr. Chapel? Ms. Goldberg?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Mayor Kelly?
Yes. Thanks, Mr. Norris.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate you,
it.
sir.
See you soon.
Yes, sir. Next one I think is gonna be you, Mr. Sloan,
Yes, sir.
resolution for 23. Go ahead.
The city has instructed me to prepare some documents in connection with a proposed lease purchase agreement with Trustmark Bank that would facilitate the city obtaining a trash truck. Tony has identified the trash truck, and it's a 2024 Freightliner truck and a 2024 Peterson TL3 base loader, whatever that describes. So he's identified it. He's identified that the city is in need of the purchase of that through the lease purchase agreement. What this resolution is to start the process. Trustmark Bank has agreed to lease purchase, which you have a copy of a draft for $178,395. The city will have to pay 10% on top of that, which Tony has in his budget apparently for the down payment. And so this resolution would need to be read and approved tonight. A tentative closing date is set for June the 15th.
That's gonna be at 9 a.m., Madam Clerk.
Can you just explain one section of it to me?
Certainly, ma'am.
Article 3, just at the end of the lease, I just wanna make sure that I understand this statement. That at the end of the lease, after all payments are made, the city may at its option purchase all of Trustmark's interest in the equipment on an as-is, where-is basis upon notice and payment to Trustmark, the sum of $10.
Right, that's the purchase side of the lease purchase.
Okay.
So, at the end of the, if you look on Exhibit B to that document, that will be your payment schedule.
Okay.
When you make those payments, then you tell Trustmark at the end of the term of the lease that you wanna buy the truck and give them $10 and the truck's yours.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. It does specify
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is what it's saying. Okay.
So what I would ask, Mayor, if the city wants to go forward to acquire the trash truck, would be a reading of resolution number 2023-392, and then an adoption, and then we can facilitate the closing on the 15th.
Okay, sir.
Public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Pat Posick, 1344 Stratford. In looking at the agreement, Exhibit A to the agreement says it's a 2023 Freightliner. You
We
just
were
said it's a
given new documents right before the meeting by
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Sloan.
Originally, I
Okay.
thought it was a 2023, and it's
Thank you
now
for that.
2020.
Do we have a purchase order, invoice, any kind of details, who the vendor is? We have simply a price.
Tony would be the man to talk about that.
Okay. Can that be included in the minutes of this meeting?
I don't have it.
Well, if he has it, you should be able to get it. Or I'll get it from, I'll send a public records request.
Julie, he said Julie has it, so I
Thank
can
you.
add it.
I'll make a motion to read resolution 2023-392.
I'll second it.
Call a roll, please.
Ms. Barrow?
Yes.
Mr. Chapel? Ms. Goldberg?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Resolution 2023-392, resolution of the city of Parker, Florida, finding it necessary to acquire equipment for governmental or proprietary purposes it would be in the best interest of the it would be in the public interest to acquire such equipment under the terms of a lease purchase agreement with Trustmark National Bank, authorizing and directing the authorized officers of the city to execute a lease purchase agreement and supporting schedules and attachments, and providing for a repealer clause, severability, and for an effective date. So you need a motion to adopt, Mayor.
Make a motion to adopt.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a first and a second. Madam Clerk, will you call a roll, please?
Ms. Barrow?
Yes.
Mr. Chapel?
Yes.
Ms. Galbraith?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
And Mayor Kelly?
Yes. Thank you, council.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Item 3 is the request for approval of Amendment 3 for the 11th Street Inland Flood Retention Pond and Walk Path. I didn't know that's what it was called. Council and Summerlin. Did you want to discuss that, Mr. Summerlin? Hello,
Either one.
you can.
Elizabeth Moore with Anchor CEI. I did rename your piece of property over there. Y'all, of course, are welcome to name it whatever you like, but it was the name of the previous property owner is what we've been calling it, so, which is fine too.
It's fine. Can
yeah,
we rename that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
What you have before you is a proposal for engineering services related to the pond parcel and the walking path associated with it, as well as the Cherry Lane, a flood retention facility for the Cherry Lane property, and also lift station improvements that are proposed for that same property as well. This is part of the inland, the Florida Resilient Florida grant program that was applied for by CDR McGuire. All of the funds associated with this proposal are directly from the grant agreement. So all of the fees and everything are 100% reimbursable by the grant. This is to basically alleviate the flooding and to start to work on that park, and also, as we talked about, the wastewater improvements for that area as well. So,
Mr. Summerlin, do you have anything you'd like to add to this? This took us a long time to get to this day.
Okay.
Council?
I have no discussion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Amendment 3.
Second.
Public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Pat Fosick, 1344. I just have a question for clarification. On the last page, or page 5 of 6, where it talks about professional services fees, talks about the grant management, 76,000, design permitting and bidding is 115,400. With regard to the first phase, is that also the grant management and environmental assessment activities?
Yes.
So it's
Ms. Moore?
both aspects of part of phase 1, and then the second is also all aspects of phase 2 and phase 3 of the program.
that's great.
Okay, I would just recommend that that be very clear, because it's, to me, it's apples and oranges. I know what the intent is, but it's a contract for a couple $100,000.
Can you update the,
Thank you.
Yeah.
contract?
Thank you, ma'am, for your comment. Council, we need to, do we have a motion?
I have a motion before you.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
And,
You call
and
the
is
roll.
that, I just wanna clarify that, and that's with the amendment that she's gonna make to the, number 3,
Yes.
to clarify what we just heard.
Thank you, ma'am. We call the roll, please?
Yes. Ms. Barrow?
Yes.
Mr. Chapel? Ms. Galbraith?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
And Mayor Kelly?
Yes, absolutely. Item 4, again, Mr. Summerlin, is the request for the internet service at the Peak Park. If you're unaware, we need this to transmit the security cameras that are in play. The power's been installed, right? The building's been installed. Will you tell us the rest of the story?
Yeah, basically, we have security cameras at the P Park right now, but they're running off of cell. And our IT guy says the cell signal from the IT facility is not strong enough to project over to the sports complex. So we need a hard line of internet service so that they can do line of sight with the internet and get the internet service over to the back of the sports complex. And that's why we're having to go with a provider.
And Tony, do you have WOW in other locations in the city?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay. This is a business agreement that they've got, not a governmental agreement. So if the council approves the having the internet through WOW, I'd like to have the opportunity to go over some of the provisions with WOW.
Makes sense.
And do they really think that it's going to service the sports complex? I mean,
I'm relying on the IT. I mean, he basically says that he can get the signal from the Pete Park over to the rear of the sports complex. I mean, the facility is going to be hubbed right there, so all we're doing is casting the internet signal over there. Everything will be on the facility, but it's just the bandwidth, he said, has to be hardlined.
and when you say IT, you're talking about Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because right now we have a Verizon mobile data, and we'll probably take that mobile data and move it to the front of the sports complex. When we put our other cameras at the front, it'll run that hub. He just says that the cost it would be to try to get the line hardwired to that facility for a temporary fix is going to be greater than a monthly fee of just having it broadcasted. To my understanding, it's basically kind of like a satellite dish, and it's line of sight, so it's pointed at the building, and it connects off of that tower and that security box that we have.
Okay, my only other concern with the contract is that it's only a 6-month guarantee of price.
Yeah, because what they'll do is they'll double that after the 6 months usually.
And like I
off
said,
the initial.
I wasn't involved with WOW. I wasn't involved with this. I was strictly went through the IT guy, and he is the one that acquired this
Okay.
proposal. And we're going by what the IT's recommendation is.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe we could reach out to Jeremy or Mr. Sloan, whoever wants to try to
I'll take care
negotiate
of it. Yes, ma'am.
a longer term price.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
my other concern is our fabulous experience that we've had with WOW has been not great, hence why we moved away from them. Do we think that this will do what it needs to do? I mean,
Like I said, this might be a
awful.
conversation we bring Jeremy in and let him answer y'all's questions on, all I did was present it to the IT department that I needed internet here so that the police department could see the cameras remotely, and this is the response I got.
I agree. I mean, I'm concerned. I can't even get internet service in my upstairs. So I'm concerned that it's gonna travel that far.
So like I said, we can.
Do you know how they're gonna transmit it? They're gonna put a microwave transmitter on the roof of the building? Is that what they're gonna do?
It's basically like what we did, kind of like for the police department over the sports complex. It's
Right.
it's a microwave dish that shoots, as long as there's nothing in its sight,
It'll
line
hit
of
it.
sight, it'll connect.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm not an
Did
IT
Jeremy
guy.
say what the range was? Nothing. Who spoke to Jeremy on that?
Like I said, I did. I said, all I did was I asked Jeremy that I needed internet in this building, and what would it take to get it there?
Okay.
And he said I needed hard internet service at the P Park. That would be the cheapest route to get it there.
Okay.
I know it's a small amount, but if we could just ask those couple of questions before we approve
No,
it.
but I'm thinking now what April said, they will double that. When they renew it, they're gonna give you a deal up front, then give you a dose the second time around.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, let's wait till we do a little bit more research. What do you think?
I'll make a motion that we table this until we get
Yeah,
answers
I think so.
to our questions.
Can we
I
just
think
put this back on in?
Next agenda.
Well, like I said, if Mr. Sloan can reach out to Jeremy and get some more information, because like I said, it was hard, it was a little bit slow on getting this quote. I've been trying to get internet over there since all the vandalisms happened. I have the building there, I have power there, I just don't have internet.
See, the problem, council, is you can get a picture, but you can't visualize who the picture's of. It's a person, but you can't isolate them. And if we can isolate it, we have tools now at the sheriff's office that we can take that picture and put it in the computer, and the sheriff comes up with a name. And we've been doing that across Parker. And so we need to make sure when we do this right, because we're still getting vandalized. They got us again, last week they got us again.
Well, then I hate to table it for too long, so
Yeah.
I'll change my motion to table it until the next meeting.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
In hopes that we get our answers by then.
don't we have a budget meeting?
Monday.
Can we,
That's pretty quick.
I'm not coming Mondays unless.
And I've already advertised the agenda.
Yeah, no, the next council meeting will be fine. We'll have it squared away.
Yeah, if nothing else, we'll try to get Jeremy here.
Okay.
When does
Thank
Jamie, when does
But-
Jeremy come in?
When we call him.
Yeah,
Can you
Do
give
we
me
need to
his
vote on
number?
that since I have a motion on the
probably, yeah.
I need a second.
Do we need, okay, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Farrow?
Yes.
Mr. Chapel? Ms. Galbraith?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
And Mayor Kelly?
Yes, very good, counsel. Mr. Sloan, this is you.
Yes, sir. The city was, periodically, let me back up. Periodically, the city, gets comments and proposed changes to, or LDR relative to the flood issues. FEMA changes the rules a little bit, the state changes the rules, they change some language. And there's a consultant for the state that reviews, I assume, every ordinance out there to determine if they need updates. They contacted the city, advised us that we needed to update some of the provisions of our LDR specific to the flood definitions primarily, but also a few sections in the actual chapter in relative to flood. So I've included those. I also included two changes relative to the definition of motels and hotels that came out of the last planning meeting. Mr. Robichaud had proposed some changes to the definitions to strengthen the LDR definitions, and so I've included those under hotel and motel. But the primary changes here all relate to flood. They have been approved by the consultant for the state, and so it's just a matter of getting this before you all and having you all look at the changes, and if you agree, then approve them.
So it doesn't look like motel changed, or hotel changed.
No, the final version is what I gave you.
Oh, this one.
Well, wait a minute. Jamie, did you not pass out the final version?
Oh, you
it's-
emailed it,
I did, and it's
I
in
have
the
it.
boxes.
Yes.
I do have it.
So motels defined, it says the term has the same meaning as defined in section 509.242, 1B, Florida statutes 2023, as may be amended or superseded.
And it is updated in the packet on the website too.
Yep.
So this would be a first
Public
reading,
hearing
Mayor,
and a public hearing.
in a public hearing, yes, sir.
Open the floor for comment. This is concerning the change that, Mr. Sloan.
Pat Fosick, 1344 Stratford. Just a question with regard to the ordinance. I think it's a great thing, but how are we going to handle existing mobile home parks, trailer parks, where a new mobile home may be brought in? Is that one going to be required to meet the elevation grade versus the others are going to stay at the level where they are? Specifically, the one on Highway 98 that was granted an extension to bring in some more new mobile homes there.
Well, if you're speaking of what commonly is referred to as grandfathering, if you look at what they did in the definition, and I can't find it right now, this out of 40 pages, but essentially what they were doing was deleting the August 1, 1980 date from the flood side.
Right.
Not from other issues, but they were concerned about the flood side, so.
Right.
So relative to the flood issues, then yes, they would be bound by the current LDR.
Okay, so a new mobile home going in would have to have that elevation, and the
Would
one
have to
next
meet
door
whatever-
would
whatever
not.
flood elevations.
Just-
Yes, ma'am.
And is there a time frame within which existing mobile homes, or it's just as they're destroyed or sold or replaced, like most other things?
Well, this ordinance would only apply prospectively.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else has anything like that? Okay, close the public hearing. Need a motion, don't we know?
Yes, sir, to read.
Yep.
I make a motion that we read.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, you please call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Farrow?
Yes.
Mr. Chapel? Ms. Galbraith?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-415, an ordinance of the city of Parker, Florida, amending the land development regulations, ordinance number 2022-409, to provide for accessory structures in flood hazard areas, to specify elevation of manufactured home in flood hazard areas, providing for severability, providing a mechanism for the correction of Scrivener's errors, providing for the liberal construction of this ordinance, providing for a repealer clause, and providing for an effective date. So that's your first reading, Mayor. It would be
Thank
on the
you.
agenda for next time.
14 days from today.
And have we taken care of the publication on it? Okay.
On the county website.
The last item is 6, election of the mayor pro tem. In other words, that's an individual from the city council, when I'm not here, that's able to fill in for me. We need a nomination for whoever you think should have the job, and then see if we can, and a second and a vote.
I make a motion for Stacy Galbraith to be Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll make a motion that we,
She
you
just,
can't make two motions.
she just made it for her.
Can I say something?
Well, there's no second.
Yeah, there's no second, it dies on the vine.
Can she second?
Well, if she
Yeah,
wants to second it,
Yeah.
then there could be discussion.
yeah, if you wanted to second yourself, there could be discussion.
Okay, I will second the motion.
What would be the discussion?
I would just like to say that I do have aspirations to potentially run for mayor at some point. I don't know exactly when that would be, but if you all would consider it, I think it'd be a good learning opportunity for me, and I would be honored to do it.
Take a vote, I guess, right?
Well, you have a motion, any other discussion?
Is there any other discussion, council? This is a new one for me, so I'm just kinda going along with the wind here.
Can we make another motion or?
Just, yeah,
Well,
afterwards.
We have
You
to
would have to
vote,
vote on that
vote on
motion.
this one, and then if it
and then-
doesn't fly, then vote on another, and if that doesn't fly, I'm not sure what we do. I'll pick somebody from the audience, I guess. So, we need to call a vote.
Ms. Barrow?
No.
Mr. Chappell?
No.
Ms. Galbraith?
Yes.
Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Mayor
Can
Kelly?
you vote yes for yourself?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no. Ma'am, what's the problem?
I'm just expressing my feelings.
What are your feelings, ma'am? Come to the podium, please, and state.
No, Mayor, do not bully me. Do not bully me. I'm allowed to sit here and nod my head. Carry on.
I hear more than you nod in your head, ma'am. I'd like you to have the opportunity to speak at the podium so we can all hear what you have to say.
You're bullying me, Mayor.
Okay.
Stop it. Stop it.
Ms. Pusick, would you like to come to the podium?
Yes, I would, thank you. Pat Posick, 1344 Stratford. I have to say I'm disappointed in the vote. I'm not surprised. My perception is that Ms. Galbraith and Ms. Gibson, frankly, have carried this council for some period of time. No disrespect to Ms. Barrow.
It
She's
was
been,
very disrespectful, ma'am.
well, I apologize.
What you just said
then.
was very disrespectful.
I apologize. No
And
disrespect.
everybody in the room agrees.
Okay. No disrespect to Ms. Barrow.
That's Barrow, please.
You know, she's been on the council and as mayor for some time. Even during the council meetings, even Mr. Kelly, Mayor Kelly, called out Ms. Barrow and said that she was responsible for, and her administration, her term on the council, was responsible for some of the problems that we're seeing in the city. In addition, she was one of the no votes for the ad valorem tax. She did not support that, which I think is something that Mayor Kelly supports. Many other council members support. Obviously, the city needs it. We have a mayor pro tem that is typically absent at fifth Tuesday meetings and frankly did not get at all involved in the election in any of the debates that were held by the different candidates.
that
And I
got to
think
do
that's
with
very
anything?
disrespectful
What's that
to the
got to do with
residents.
anything?
Thank you.
All right, so Mayor, you would be open
she
for
did
another
well.
motion?
Yep.
I have no problem with that.
Ma'am,
And it's
if you would
not-
like some more
The
time, you
fifth
can come to
Tuesday
the
is not a
podium.
No,
council
I'm fine,
meeting,
thank
and
you.
I don't have to be there if I don't want to be there.
So we would now entertain anybody else that would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, leave our current, pro tem person, Ms. Barlow, leave her there in that position.
So what are you saying, Mr. Chappell? Making a motion to leave her there? Then we need a second. Okay, we have a first and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Barrow?
Yes.
Mr. Chapel?
Yes.
Ms. Galbraith?
No.
Ms. Gibson?
No.
Mr. Mayor Kelly?
No,
No?
no. Not doing this. This is very unprofessional, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very unprofessional. So I open the floor for another person that wants to run the job, wants to be the pro tem.
I will make a motion that we elect April Gibson as Mayor Pro Tem.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Still on the vine. It's over. There was no second. She,
Like I said, Mr. Ron, I think it would be a good learning opportunity for me.
you can't,
And I certainly don't want this to be a reflection on Tanya, because it's not how I, you know.
I think y'all already have.
well, ladies and gentlemen, we were unable to come to a conclusion tonight for the mayor pro tem, so it'll stay like it is till we can vote on it again. 14 days from tonight, we will put that as item 7 or whatever it falls out to, Madam Clerk. All right, thank you. I have a couple things that I'd like to talk to you about before we move on tonight. One is extremely sad for a multitude of reasons. If you don't know, and you probably do, our clerk has decided to hand in her resignation. Go ahead, ma'am. So with that, we are opening I don't know if it was done today or not, but it'll be done in the next couple of days. We are actively searching for a new city clerk. And with that in mind, if you know of anybody, please come to the city hall or have them come to the city hall. And in the next few days, I'm not sure, do we have a date yet, Madam Clerk, when the council's gonna vote for the other officers in the planning
No,
council?
you have the packets, in
Up
front of you.
before you.
And who
Well,
is
perhaps
available.
on Monday, we can decide if, when we wanna set a date to review these together.
So Jamie, how many for each position?
It's in your packets,
It's
very
in there.
first page.
Well, I haven't.
It's, I'd have to open it.
It's
I think
like
it's
three-
2, and
2, 3, 2.
Two-
It's
two and
literally
three.
who's available and who has turned in
Okay.
applications, and they're in alphabetical order
Okay.
according to each packet. It's the very
'cause
top page.
I don't know that,
I-
I don't know that we've given this enough time for people to know that these are, to advertise it more. I think.
we didn't get it on the sign until last
And I didn't-
week.
I think I got it on Facebook the end of last week, so I feel like, is there any way we could extend it to closer to the end?
You may
of-
wanna see how many have applied already.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me, I'm sorry.
It's
I
that
have it-
page in your hand.
Okay.
The appointments are made the first meeting in July, correct?
That's what I thought.
And the first meeting is July 4th, so there's only.
Some
one
have already
meeting in July.
expired.
So we won't meet again until like the 18th, I believe.
So
There's plenty of time.
Can we put this on the next, on the 12th meeting?
20th?
No, 20th, isn't it?
The 20th. If we do the 20th, can we do the deadline for like look at the calendar?
2 more
I
weeks.
feel like we should extend it out. I just don't, especially this, I mean, there's 2 open positions and 2 applicants. We've got 1 open position, 2 applicants, 3 open positions, 3 applicants, 4.
So when are you wanting to extend to?
So I'm thinking.
You mean to take applications?
Yeah, to take applications. So could we do like the 16th? That would be Friday the 16th, and then we would vote on it the 20th?
You could do noon on the 20th, and I can get them to you that day.
I don't wanna do that to you. Why would we do that? Let's do Friday at 4 o'clock on the 16th. I'll update everything on the Facebook page and however it'll get out on social media and put it out again. Do we have to vote on that?
No, you vote on it the first meeting in July.
I mean, voting on extending the deadline.
Oh, I don't believe the council imposed a deadline.
I don't think we
They-
posted a hard deadline for it.
They just asked me to advertise it in May.
So,
In during the LDR.
and we really just got it out. So if we do the 16th, that gives, if there's anybody else that wants to apply for all the positions, then they can. That'll give them another week and a half. And then we'll vote it on the 20th.
Do you guys mind backing up just a second to Jamie's resignation?
Yeah,
Um,
can you say something? Can the public say something? May I
About the
speak?
application?
Yes,
No,
ma'am. I can't
about
hear,
what
I'm
you just
sorry.
said.
About Jamie's
About Jamie,
resignation?
yes.
Yes, ma'am, you may speak, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks. Kim Riga, 1503 Dover. Jamie, I just want to say thank you. I think we're losing a great clerk. I've
I
been
know
here
we
for
are.
a few other clerks, and
Mhm.
you've taken a lot of stress and pressure, and you've flown, but I know you probably want to get back to the kids, and I understand that, so thank you.
A lot of people have said a lot of very nasty things to the clerk, and they've wrote their names on social media, and that was silly. And so now I'm going to pass all that along to somebody else to look at, and that's not a threat, that's fact. So she did a great job. She worked so hard. The whole mess that she cleaned up was phenomenal. All the ladies in the office did an outstanding job, and I tried desperately the day she told me to talk her out of it, but there's no talking her out of it. This is going to happen, and this is going to hurt our city. We will not be able to bounce back to where we are in 6 or 8 months. We will not, because we won't have the manpower. It gels so well with everything and works in the office just like it should because of her personality and the way she is. That's all incredibly important. And I still would today entertain an offer from her if she wanted to change her mind.
Can I get off at noon every day?
I can't do that. One maybe.
I
So,
think we're all super saddened by your
appreciate you guys.
leaving.
that's
I
cool.
talked to Jamie about this a little bit. I think we definitely, before we post the ad, we need to make sure that we go through it because the job description does not.
I've put it in every,
Encompass.
I
You should see
emailed
the
it
new
to
job
I could, and I
description. It's
gave
pretty
it to everybody
significant.
else.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
It's 4 pages.
So can we, is it okay for us to send back our feedback so that we can get it posted in a hurry?
We need to, because we don't have but 3 weeks to get this done.
Right.
And then we've got to have 2 council meetings to vote on it and get it put in place. And then this person's going to have to learn for 6 months.
So is that acceptable for us to each send back our feedback on the job description and then
And I can run it by the
post
mayor
it on
too.
both Indeed,
Send it to the clerk and we'll
website?
review it together and then
We'll
we'll,
put it on social
And the
media.
sign,
We'll put
okay.
it everywhere. I mean,
okay.
Jamie is doing the job of literally 3 people. She's doing the HR, she's doing the payroll, she's doing the city clerk, she's doing all the floodplain management.
And she deals with freedom of information requests at the rate of 4 hours a day. Every day. Day in and day out. Like you say, you shouldn't write your name on those things and make statements about people that's not true. That's a silly thing to do. Anyway, moving right along. We have, I don't have any announcements. Do you, Mr. Chappell?
Well, we didn't finalize what we're gonna do on the 16th. I won't be available that day. The dentist is gonna
That's okay,
have
Mr.
me in
Chappell.
the chair all day long, basically, to give me some new choppers so I can.
I think he's only asking to extend the application to that date.
They'll just turn them into me, it'll be fine.
You'll be there. You'll be back. Okay, the procedural manual. Ms. Galbraith, give us an update on that.
Another thing.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob.
I do wanna thank all the people that came up for the, pig roast. We had about 70 people show up. I thought that was, a good outturn. I do wanna say that the city does not put a dime into anything that we do. I don't care what social media says, the city does not use funds to do any of these projects. So I just wanna clarify that. We got some people that don't know what's going on, and, they're making statements that, just, I don't know where they, pulling them out of the air, I guess. That being said, I'm planning on having a, pancake breakfast in in August, for the city. So, I'll come up with a date in August, but again, there will not be any city funds paying for that breakfast.
We thank you, Mr. Chappell, the pig was lovely. Yes, it was.
I was gonna say.
Everyone showed up, we thank you.
Well, some people don't know that.
They missed out.
Mr. Chappell is also
good
very
food.
humble because the majority of the money that does go to these events comes from
Yes.
Mr. Chappell, so, thank you.
And Beth.
Mr. Chappell does a lot for this city.
Were you done before I
I'm
go?
finished.
Okay. You asked me about the procedural manual, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I am about 3/4 of the way through with the accounting portion of it.
Okay.
I will make sure that I have that portion done and to the council by the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Zoning changes, it's just to
Um,
the council, really, it says.
Well, I guess my question at this point is, are we sure we really want to, pay somebody to come in and look at the zoning?
Not right now. I think that this should be tabled for quite a while, and,
I mean, unless we have a vision of where we wanna be, I'm not sure that it's prudent to pay somebody to do zoning.
Right.
I don't know that it would be worth our time and money to do it right now, so.
Item, grant writer, I'd like to address that. Had a meeting yesterday with Griff Griffin over at his office on 11th Street, along with the city clerk and the public works director, and he's making a proposal that we, the 4 cities on the east side, including Mexico Beach, that'll be the 5th city, enter into an agreement or a pact where we would all pay a fee into the group, smaller city less, bigger city more, to have a lobbyist and potentially get a grant writer from a lobbyist. And we would, in a nutshell, select 10 projects in the city of Parker, 10 in Springfield, 10 in Callaway, and then we would meet, and then we would consolidate those projects, and then we would pick 3 or 4, 2 or 3 from each city that we would like for the lobbyist to push through in Tallahassee through the legislature with his support and help. We haven't reached the point yet that we would put it before the Parker City Council to see if you wanted to do that or not. We're tentatively thinking that our cost could potentially be about $1,000 a month to our Parker portion to be part of the lobbyist in Tallahassee. So that's something to be thinking about. I don't have all the details from Griff yet, but Mr. Griffin yet, but that was what we had our meeting about yesterday.
But are we going to continue with the grant writer?
Yeah, if we can
RFP?
get one,
Okay.
if we can
So-
find one, because that last one was too expensive.
Jamie, I know that you're probably extremely varied at this point, so how do you propose that we go about getting an RFP written up?
I sent it to you completely.
Do you want us to look at it first and then,
It's up to you guys what you wanna do.
okay,
We don't have one on record here at all for a grant writer.
okay.
The one from
Springfield.
Springfield was written by their attorney.
So,
Mr.
Mr.
Elgar.
So can we
Sloan,
bring that draft to the next meeting and discuss?
Is
I can
that
forward it.
something that you
I
could
can
do,
forward
is
you
write
my
the RFP
comments.
based off of Springfield's and get it written? Can we?
Yes, ma'am, if you'll want me to, I can.
The one from Springfield was,
It's very specific. I mean, I've
For a
read it.
certain grant.
It was a very specific grant, but, you know, part of this money, that we've got, that with Elizabeth doing the design for the Force Main and for the, lift station for Melindy, so that we can get development. By her doing that, we are able, that gives us a design to be able to submit, and it's basically, once they do the design and everything's done, it'll be shovel ready. We will be able to take that packet and have a very, very, very good possibility, if we have a good grant writer, to get it funded. And I think this needs to be the #1 priority, and, you know, Griff Griffiths mentioned the grant writer, or not the lobbyist, last spring in 20, but, you know, at that point in time, it just didn't seem like something we could do, especially when we had no idea what our money looked like and, you know, without having help. So I think this is a great thing.
I think you're right.
So we can add it to the next agenda?
Sure.
Thank you.
So at this point, I'm not doing anything, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the,
Wait.
What do you want
records
me to add to
request?
the next agenda?
Can we have him write
Conversation about the grant writer.
the RFP for the grant writer so that we can get it done and put it out to bid?
Can that be done that fast? 2 weeks?
I'll do what I can, Mayor.
Okay. So if we can, we can.
So am I putting it on the task list?
Can somebody send me the Springfield grant?
I'm sure we
I
can
mean,
get
the
that.
RFQ from Springfield, do you have it?
I do. I have it's an RFP from Springfield from theirs. I'll forward you everything that
Okay.
I have.
All right. Mayor, you had asked me about the next one.
Yeah.
After y'all had talked about it at the last meeting, it's really more of guidance to the city clerk. It wouldn't come in the form of an ordinance. I have drafted it. I have sent it out to the mayor for an initial review before I send it to the clerk and to the council for their comments. And I don't know, Mayor, and you've been very busy, so I doubt you've had a chance to look at it, have you?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay.
Before
But
Friday, hopefully.
it's drafted, so if I can get some comments back from the mayor, then I'll send it all out with those comments to y'all. You give comments directly to me, and then Jamie, if you can give me any comments, and then.
Sure, because Dunedin does not have an ordinance. I
No,
spoke with
it
them.
was just a policy.
Yeah, it's a policy, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'd like to know, Ms. Galbraith brought this to the council. What was your reasoning for bringing that to the council to do something about the,
About the public records request, because we're getting so many, I think that we need a policy on it.
is it so
And-
many from certain people that you're referring to, or?
We are
just-
getting an abundance of requests from specific people, but I think overall, we need a policy, something for Jamie to back up on.
The policy would apply regardless if he makes a request.
Well, I know that, but I was asking why that this was brought to council. That's the reason why
I
I'm
mean, if
asking.
you talk to Jamie, I mean,
I
it's-
know all that. My point is in getting to why, if it's a certain person or a certain couple people, or what are we talking about here?
I want it because I think we're getting a lot of records requests, and I think Jamie needs something to back up on. Am I not answering your question, Tanya?
And the new
You
clerk, and the
actually
new
did
clerk.
A little bit before that. But
So.
I'm gonna go with the certain people request.
I wanted to give you an update on the sunk vessels in the
There
park.
was one more on there, Mayor,
Oh, was there?
the deposit increase.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
all had asked me to take a look at a couple of things. One was social security numbers on the water sewer applications, and one was the credit run. I think you could probably do the credit run. However, the question becomes, what are you gonna do with it once you do it? You're not gonna deny somebody necessarily water and sewer just because they have a credit score of 400 versus 450 or 500 or whatever. The bigger issue actually turned out to be the social security numbers. There actually was a federal lawsuit filed in Georgia concerning a city collecting social security numbers and requiring social security numbers in order to attain water and sewer accounts. They were sued. The court initially has ruled that that by some illegal immigrants who do not have social security numbers were requesting water and sewer accounts. And the court ruled that that was discriminating against them by requiring social security numbers in order to have the water and sewer accounts. So that, I think, is gonna be, challenged. And so, in the near term, I would say that's probably not something you should do, at this point. And I can bring back the ordinance upping the deposit from 200 to 300 without that, but just keep in mind, if you were to include social security number requirements, theoretically, you could be subject to the same kind of lawsuit as the city in Georgia got sued over.
So then do we know how can we turn it over to credit agencies to try to collect our money for us if we don't have that? Did you by chance check on that, Jamie?
No, can't, no, we haven't gotten to that, have we?
What I would suggest, if you wanted us to, we would contact credit collection companies and ask them what their information they require legally in order to be able to do that. And they generally get half, and I'm okay with half. If you owe me $100 and I can only get 50, I'll take the 50.
I think that Jamie was working on that, I just didn't know if
Yeah,
she had
I
gotten
don't-
there yet.
Gotten back to him.
Okay.
We'll call, we'll do it.
Excuse me. Kathleen O'Brien, 1455 Parkway Drive. I happen to be familiar with what goes on in New York City. Con Ed, the electric company, electric and gas, they require people's social security numbers. And now that they're swagman with no plan, the mayor, Eric Adams, he has a lot of illegals on his hands. And he's even inviting them to live with him in Gracie Mansion. So I don't know what Con Ed's going to do about the Social Security.
Yeah, there was an article written about that case, and they were talking about apparently they're selectively suing cities. In the Georgia case, not only was it water and sewer, but also the city was providing electricity, and so it was
the sky's the limit, you know,
trifecta for that.
Whatever they want.
And it was all based upon the fact that illegal immigrants do not have social security numbers and can't in many states, and so they were suing. And
most of our people here have socials, so maybe we could
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you what's
take our
out there.
chances on getting sued. I don't know.
Thank you, ma'am.
Pat Posick, 1344 Stratford. Following on to what Kathleen said, whether or not it's required, can there be a blank on the application that frankly most people who have one would probably voluntarily provide, and if they don't have one, they still get water. So we're not discriminating, we're simply using the resources available to us for those who are legal in the United States to be able to get the money back.
If you don't predicate denial on whether they provide it, I suppose
Right,
you
we
can
wouldn't.
do that.
They still get it, but again, 90% of our residents are legal. I have no idea what that quantity is.
It's very, very low. I actually just got some
I would agree.
from Nexite.
So it's not
Demographic
required,
data.
but it's on the application. How many of us are used to putting that down? I mean, for any military, I can remember when you used to have to write your social security number on your check at the commissary, and we were used to it. It was printed on the checks. So again, people are used to providing it. I think it's the lesser of two evils. We can collect where we can, and where they don't provide it, we still give them water, and maybe they have to pay the $300 deposit. I don't know.
The other thing I will tell you, council, is that this year the state did enact some stronger laws relative to illegal immigrants and impose some significant requirements, such as even and I've only cursory read it, but from the chief's standpoint, it appeared to me that if they had a license in another state that they may have obtained as an illegal immigrant, but Florida doesn't recognize it, then it's an invalid license and they can be pulled over without for driving without a license. So there's all kinds of legislation now that's been enacted and circling that's affecting the whole concept. So
Mr. Sloan, this is kind of blowing my common sense button away right now because
you
if I need to
you
go
and me both.
buy a car, I have to provide my driver's license, my social security card, or my number. I have to. Half the time they'll make you do a thumbprint. I mean,
But you're buying it from a private entity and not the government. That's the distinction. And it's not a necessity. The court looked at the fact that water, sewer, and electric were necessities, and if the city, and I wanna say it was LaGrange, denied them the access to those, then they were being denied the necessities of life. So, I can't tell you I agree with the case, all I'm telling you is it's out there. And I can provide you all with a copy of that case.
A lot of them's tags are registered in Texas, if you'll ever notice.
If we move forward with making the social security number, would the driver's license be something that they could use to run the credit report? I don't know the answer to that.
We have driver's licenses on them already.
I think that we, at this point, we wait until we get the answer from
We might
the
not even
credit
need it.
bureau and find out what we have to have.
That is
to be able
correct.
to-
Yeah, to track them down. Yeah.
So this week, things that aren't on the agenda, but for clarity, we went out Friday and attempted to code enforce 4 vessels. When we arrived on scene, one was gone. The first one we came upon was tipped over on its side and it had been towed there. The second one we came upon, we were greeted by a very angry person who didn't care that we had a city ordinance and wanted to, he wasn't leaving, put it that way, okay? And then the third one we came across, it appears, we haven't confirmed this yet, that the numbers on the vessel didn't belong to it. Go figure, right? So we attempted and we did accomplish putting the red code enforcement sticker on the vessels, and we're going through the process right now of finding out who these people are. Well, we know who one of them is because he was quite abrupt when he came out of the boat. I thought for sure at one point there we were going to get shot. I swear to God, I thought we were.
Had my mother.
Not your mother, right? Yeah. The second thing, still to do with code enforcement, and I've not yet seen it, but between the apartment complex and this second vessel we looked at, the complainant says that he sees a slurry of red colored liquid running off the property, down the land near where his rowboat's at, into the water. I don't know what it is. I'm going to find out what it is. When I find out what it is, I'll report back to you after we get a sample and get it tested by the people who test it, put it that way. So it's hard for me to know what was in the bucket when it went over the side of the boat, but I will figure it out, and I'll get back with you on that. Went to the bridge today, and if you get a chance, ride down there. It's really worth the visit because it's going to be a very nice, very pretty, positive thing. The walk pavers are on it now. You can actually almost walk to the end, and little by little, every day it's getting done. I'm just trying to think what else is. The cameras in the park are necessary. We're still getting vandalized. Last week on Tuesday night when there were other people meeting here, somebody took a large amount of chalk and threw it all over the tennis court grass. But it didn't, as far as I know, it didn't adhere, but it was over there nevertheless. And what Ms. Galbraith said is right. We need to hurry up and find the solution to getting this camera system up and running, because they're at a disadvantage. This past weekend, it was my turn to unlock and lock the bathrooms, and I was dreading both times when I went over there, when I unlocked them, that they were going to be destroyed on the inside, but they weren't. And that's, Mr. Vest, that's pretty much all that happened other than regular government this week, you know, since our meeting down there. But the code enforcement was pretty good. We were on the water about 3 hours, very productive, got it all videotaped. And now we have a complaint filed against us from one of the illegal people. But that's okay. Getting sued is part of it. It's Chief Hutto's fault. I just took the brunt, that's all. You got the floor? Nothing? Ms. Barrow? Nothing? Stacy, anything? Okay. Thank all of you very much for your time.